Good day, everyone. I am Rosemary Gallen, and I will be presenting and discussing the current tree or the human behavior and victimology. So, guys, nakalimutan ko po mag-input yung POS dito sa next slide, but ni-make sure ko and also yung reference ko po is POS, POS boost talaga lahat ng preceding slide. So next, first, let's discuss what is human behavior. Human behavior is anything an individual does that involves self-initiated action, reaction to a given situation. The sum total of my reaction to this environment is the voluntary or involuntary attitude that a person adopts in order to keep society. Idea first. So when we say human behavior, it is the reaction of an individual to anything. It's either thought, situation, also it is the overt reaction of an individual. So, makikita siya ng other tao or other people kung ano yung behavior mo, makikita siya behavior. Then also, it is also the unconscious or consciously behavior na you adopt from the society in order to fit in the idea or in the standards in the society. For example, um, eto, standard to ng society where you belong. Then, unconsciously, na-adapt mo pala siya. Tapos, it has good and bad side naman sa anything na na-adapt natin sa ating, na-adapt natin. The importance of this is understanding the human behavior helps us explain why people make their decisions, why they interact differently with others, and how they react may influence society. So, we study human behavior in order for us to understand, to help and explain why that specific person have that kind of behavior. So for the next slide, it is the Erikson stages of human development. First is the trust versus mistrust. It is developed during the infancy of 0 to 1 year of 0 to 1 year. During infancy, children learns to trust and mistrust depending on the care they receive. So, meron tumatak sa akin na one example dito, which is yung si baby daw, di ba, pag hinahagis mo siya, at first yung reaction niya is doubtful siya. Then eventually, habang sinasalo mo si baby is nakangiti siya. And that means na-develop yung trust, na-develop yung trust niya dun sa person na naghahag sa kanya. Diyan daw po nagsisimula yung trust ng isang baby or ng isang tao. Dun nagsisimula. Then next is the autonomy versus shame and doubt. Dito pala sa Erikson stages of development, in-explain niya yung development ng tao. Tapos pinagpa-compare niya yung positive and positive or good side, then the bad or the negative side. pinagko-compare niya. Then, yun nga, si autonomy versus shame and doubt is developed during early childhood 1 to 3. Um, for this naman, they develop independence through their will or yung kagustuhan nila na gawin tong ganitong task, gawin tong ganitong bagay. Dun nade-develop during that stage. And also, versus the shame and doubt, they have the doubt to step on that specific task. Dun din nila develop na nagkakaroon sila ng shame or doubt dun sa ginagawa nila. Then, next is the initiative versus guilt, or it is developed during the play age 3 to 6 years old. It is when sinabi natin initiative, di ba? Nagtitake sila ng initiative without the instructions of others. May connection siya sa autonomy, I guess. Kasi, nagtitake siya ng initiative without other people instruction. Parang nagkakaroon siya ng ino-own up niya yung things na gusto niyang gawin. Or, yun. Then, pag hindi niya yun nagawa, yung bagay na yun, nag-fail siya dun sa tinake ng initiative, sa, yan, example, sa task, is nag-take siya ng initiative sa task na yun, tapos nag-fail, dun siya makaka-feel ng shame. I mean, guilt sa sarili niya. Doon nalalaman na yung word na guilt, yun, sa sarili niya. Then next is the industry versus inferiority. It is developed during the school age from 7 to 11 years old. Dito naman sa school age, di ba? School age nga, nasa outside world na siya, lumalabas na siya, nagpupunta na siya ng school. So, in this stage, nakaka-develop na siya ng self-confidence kasi mag-isa na lang siya, wala na yung parents niya, pamunta school siya, ganon. While yung negative naman nito, magkakaroon siya ng inferiority. Ibig sabihin yun, wala siyang self-confidence, ang tawag, merong other term, pero hindi ko lang sama isip. Pero yun, yung parang mahiyain, or di kaya walang tuwala sa siguro, ay no, wala self-confidence. Then next is the adolescence. Aiming identity versus confusion is developed during the adolescence, 12 to 18 years old. Sabi dito, during that age daw, 12 to 18, madadevelop or malalaman mo na sa sarili mo kung ano yung identity mo. Kung, I mean, gender mo, ganon. Man, woman, or part of the LGBTQ. Yes. Then, for the confusion naman, during that stage naman, diba? On the other side, alam mo na kung ano yung gender mo. On the other side, saan naman ito. Ako, alam ko na identity ko, while the other person na same age is confused pa siya kung ano talaga yung identity niya or kung ano ba talaga yung gender niya sa sarili niya. Then, for the intimacy versus isolation during the early adulthood, 19 to 29 years old. So, dito, pag intimacy, parang you need love need love from the other person or papasok ka sa relationship sa ano mo, sa ibang tao, same sex man yan or opposite sex. For the isolation naman, sabi ng isolation, parang, ay no, hindi parang, kundi, um, ina-isolate mo yung sarili mo. Ikaw lang mag-isa, kaya mo mag-isa, hindi mo kailangan ng love from the other people or persons specifically. Kaya mo mag-isa, ganun. For the generativity versus stagnation, it is developed during the middle age, 30 to 64 years old. Para naman dito sa generativity, dito mo na-realize na gusto mong magkaroon ng contribution sa society mo or gusto mong magkaroon na pumasok into um, gusto mo nang magkaroon ng family, gano'n. Gusto mo na magbumuo ng family, pamilya, gano'n. For the stagnation naman, ayun nga, from isolation, parang gusto mo tuloy-tuloy, isa ka lang, or di kaya, ayun, ginigit ka lang habang, hanggang tanda, yun, parang wala ka ng hinahangad pa sa sarili mo, kundi, kung nasan ka in the current situation, gusto mo, hanggang tuloy-tuloy, yun lang, hindi ka na, hindi ka na mag-elevate sa sarili mo. Ganun, stagnant ka lang. Then last is the integrity versus despair. Old age is developed during old age, 65 onwards. So for the integrity, dito mo na ma-realize yung sense ng life, yung importance ng buhay mo. OA ka na gano'n. Then for the despair, dito mo naman isip yung mga pasakit mo sa buhay, yung mga naranasan mo dati na parang ayaw mo na basta negative side siya ng integrity na iniisip mo yung sense of life. Parang din sa despair, ayaw mo nang mabuhay, gano'n, parang puro na lang problema buhay mo, gano'n. Yung importance naman neto ng Erikson stages, Erikson believed that every stages is important because each one prepare us to the next stage of life. So, yan. Thus, for the next is the Piaget or Piaget development. First is the sensory motor. It is developed during 0 to 2 years old. Learns through senses and action. For this naman, si infant, get 0 to 2, nade-develop niya yung nalalearn niya yung mga bagay-bagay through senses and action. For example, diba, infant ka, hindi mo pa alam yung surroundings mo or yung mga bagay-bagay. Tas may nahawakan ka, mainit. Andun lang siya nakalagay doon tapos sa table, mainit. Sa lapag, mainit. Tapos, then, na-touch mo siya, pero hindi mo alam na, ay, mainit to, ganito yung pakiramdam mainit. Pero, hindi siya maganda sa feeling. Through senses na mainit to, hindi niya nahawakan kasi hindi niya alam yung word or yung thing na mainit. For the next is the pre-operational. It is developed during 2 to 7 years old. For this stage naman is nale-learn na yung um, bata kung paano magsalita, paano gamitin yung pagsasalita, and also marunong na din sila mag-imagine and mag-think egocentrically. Um, for the next is the concrete operational stage. It is developed during 7 to 11 years old. For this stage naman, nade-develop niya yung logical thinking, na-develop na yung logical thinking about the objects and events. Alam na nila kung this event is harmful or dangerous. Alam nila if this event is um, masaya or malungkot, ganon. Tapos last is the formal operational. It's developed during 12 years and up. For this stage naman, individual develop abstract reasoning and critical thinking. So, nade-develop na dito yung critical thinking, logical thinking, kung paano na mag-handle ng mga bagay-bagay during this age. Tapos, matured na din sila mag-isip, gano'n. Um, Jen Piaget or Jean Piaget theory help us understand how thinking changes as we grow. So, dahil sa study ni Piaget, mm, na-understand natin kung paano nag-grow yung thinking ng isang infant into adolescence. For the next naman is the B.F. Skinner behaviorism theory. B.F. Skinner behaviorism theory is based on operant conditioning. It is a method of learning that occurs through rewards and punishment. So B.F. Skinner believes that behavior is learned through rewards and punishment. So bakit? So malalaman natin. It has four types pala. First is the first two, the positive reinforcement and the negative reinforcement. For the positive reinforcement are favorable events or outcomes presented after behavior strengthening response to praise or rewards. So for the positive reinforcement, it means that giving something, or giving rewards to a person having a good behavior para matuloy-tuloy and continue niya yung behavior na meron siya na good behavior. And for the negative reinforcement, involve removing an aversive events following the behavior, thereby strengthening the response by eliminating something unpleasant. So for the negative reinforcement means removing something unpleasant to encourage behavior. So sinasabi na tatanggalan mo siya ng something na nagbibigay sa kanya ng pleasure para ma-change siya, ma-change yung behavior niya into good behavior. Because sa positive, bibigyan mo siya ng reward para magiging good behavior siya. Magkakaroon siya ng good behavior. Sa negative is, tatanggalan mo siya ng mga bagay or ng mga yes, bagay na nagbibigay sa kanya ng pressure para magkaroon siya ng good behavior. Next is the positive punishment. Positive punishment apply by application. Punishment by application involves adding an unpleasant event to weaken a response. Positive doesn't mean good here. It means adding a punisher like stomping for misbehavior. For the positive punishment naman is means adding punishment to someone para ma-reduce or matanggal yung bad behavior na. Bibigyan mo siya ng punishment para magiging good behavior or magkaroon siya ng um, realization dun sa punishment na bigay sa kanya para mabago or magkaroon siya ng good behavior. For the negative punishment, also known as punishment by removal, occurs when a favorable event or outcome is removed following a behavior. Event or outcome is removed by following a behavior. Taking away a child's video game as consequence of misbehavior is an example of taking of negative punishment. For the negative punishment, it means removing something desirable. Yes, desirable para mabago um, yung behavior ng isa bata or isang tao. Parang same idea lang siya sa negative reinforcement na tatanggalan mo siya ng desirable or pleasure na para mabago. Ganun. Sana nag-gets. First, the positive. Bibigyan siya ng reward for him or for her para magkaroon ng good behavior. Pag negative reinforcement naman, tatanggalan mo siya ng desirable things or mga things na nagbibigisan sa kanya ng pleasure para magkaroon siya ng good behavior. For the negative, for the positive punishment, bibigyan mo siya ng punishment para magkaroon siya ng realization at magkaroon na siya ng good behavior. For the negative punishment, tatanggalan mo siya ng mga desirable na bagay sa kanya para magkaroon siya ng good behavior later on. Next is the Aaron Beck cognitive behavior. As an umbrella theory of several cognitive and behavior theories, and is the basis of cognitive behavioral therapy. So, ito si cognitive behavioral therapy is yun yung naging basis niya, yung theory ni Aaron Beck na cognitive behavioral theory. So, based sa study ko, I mean, nasama kasi siya sa research namin, naging theoretical framework siya. Ang pagkakasabi doon, pag sinabing cognitive behavioral therapy, is nagde-develop yung tao ng coping mechanism doon. Nagkakaroon siya ng sarili niyang coping mechanism. Depende kung paano. Depende yung coping mechanism ng bawat isang tao. The core theoretical notion is that people, emotional reaction, and behaviors are strongly influenced by cognitions. Thoughts, beliefs, and interpretation themselves or situation in which they find themselves. So, sinasabi dito is yung nagiging reaction ng person is greatly influenced by emotions and behavior or their thoughts. For for example, yung I mean, no, hindi pala siya behavior kundi thoughts kung paano ka mag-isip, kung paano kang kung paano yung thinking mo. Iba-iba kada ba isang tao depende sa emotion and behavior mo. For example, dalawang student is binigyan mo siya ng low grades. Then, yung isa, biniview niya yung low grades na yun as, as kailangan niya mag-improve sa sarili niya, ganun, kailangan niya pang galingan. Then, while the other student naman, titignan niya as negative na failure, isa siyang bagsak, gano'n. So, same situation but different yung nagiging idea or dating dun sa tao. The way paano nila isipin yung isang situation. Although, um, although yes, gano'n nga. Thus, this theory becomes the foundation ng, um, foundation kung paano mag-isip daw yung isang tao by the influence of the emotion and behavior. Then, for the next is the Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs. He believed that Maslow believed that people are motivated by different level of need. First, at the bottom, makikita naman natin is the means na yung basis ng needs nila is of like food, water, shelter, yun daw po yung need. For the next is the safety. Common term, safety. So, kailangan ng tao ng secure, kailangan hindi lang basta sa life, kundi sa example, secure sa foods. The next is the love and belongings. For this, for this naman is kailangan daw ng tao ng love and affection ng ibang tao and belonging. For example, sa family, mabibilong siya dun sa family na yun. Ganon. Then comes to self-esteem or the esteem needs, which it includes confidence and respect. Parang dito kailangan niya ng confidence tapos respect from the other people surround him or her. Then the last is the self-actualization where individual reach their fullest potential na nakita nila kung ano sila as individual. In this tree or in this hierarchy of needs na ito daw po yung sunod-sunod ng need ng bawat individual. First, ano nga yan? First is the psychological, ay physiological. Nabe is yung mga water, yung food, yung mga basic needs, then safety, yun yung safety sa life mo, secured ka sa buhay mo, gano'n. Hindi, secured ka sa buhay mo, like, gano'n. Tas next is love and belonging, dun na kailangan mo na ng ano, okey ka na po-provide mo na yung food, yung ganito, secure ka na, kailangan mo na ng love and belong ka na sa isang community or isang family na 'to. Tapos after nun magkakaroon ka ng self-confidence, then makukuha mo na yung respect ng ibang tao kasi nga ayun, nadaanan mo na yung stages, tatlong stages, then the last one is self-actualization. Parang na-fulfill mo na yung ano, potential mo as a person or nakuha mo na yung mga kailangan mo sa buhay. Dun na yung level na yan or stage na yan. Next is the Carl Rogers theory. Head developed person-centered approach, also known as client-centered therapy. The fully functioning person, rather than using a strict pyramid, Rogers focused on environment and internal conditions required for an individual to grow. He believed that humans naturally strive towards becoming a fully functioning person, someone in touch with their deepest feeling and desire. So, sa other theory, ang sinasabi lang ni Roger is, diba, kanina kay Maslow, yung stages ay hierarchy of needs, di ba? Naka-focus siya sa sarili. While kay Carl Rogers naman is naka-focus naka-focus siya sa environment, both environment and internal. Pag na-meet na-meet ng tao yung acceptance and respect or support ng nasa environment niya, magkakaroon siya ng self-actualization na fully function na siya as individual or di na kailangan nung hierarchy. Pag na-meet niya na nandun siya sa stage 5, yung self-actualization, yun yung pinagkaiba ng theory na to sa Maslow hierarchy of needs. Next is, punta na tayo sa mga mental and personality disorders. First mental and personality disorder is the substance of substance sorry substance use disorder or the SUD. Involves patterns of symptoms caused by using a substance that an individual continues taking negative effects. So, pag sinabi natin, when we say substance use disorder or the SUD, it is the condition where a person continues using a substance even though it will be harmful to his health or relationship to other person. Kino-continue na kahit aware siya, kino-continue niya yung pag-use ng substance kahit aware siya na masama sa kalusugan niya yun. Then, next is the schizophrenia. It's a chronic psychiatric condition that affects persons' thinking, feeling, and behavior. Psychotic conditions marked by withdrawal from reality. Formerly called dementia precox. It is also complex long-term in conditions. So, si schizophrenia daw po is a psychiatric condition. long term siya, hindi siya agad-agad na gumagaling. Kailangan ng long term, um, long term, um, tawag dito, long term na gamutan. So, dati siyang tinatawag na dementia precox. Dati alam ko talaga dementia precox. Then, dito, um, ina-affect niya yung thinking, emotion, and behavior ng tao. May sakit na to. Yung people with schizophrenia may experience hallucination, delusion, and difficulty of distinguishing reality from imagination. So, yun nga, hindi niya na alam or yung mga taong may ganito is hindi nila alam kung yung situation or yung nakikita nila is totoo ba or hindi. Hindi nila ma-distinguish kung yung nangyayari is um, totoo or hallucinations lang lahat. Then, next, merong types of schizophrenia. First is the simple schizophrenia. It's characterized by a gradual decline of interest and ambition. So, easy lang siyang maintindihin when we say simple schizophrenia, pinakamababa na level siguro, sabihin natin level, pinakamababa kasi sa other types of schizophrenia. So, pag sinabi parang nawawalan siya ng motivation or interest sa mga bagay-bagay. Like, yun. Broad naman siya, pero yun nga, nawawalan siya ng motivation or interest sa mga bagay-bagay. Next is the paranoid schizophrenia. It's characterized principally by delusions or persecutions and other grandeur hallucinations. Um, Alam naman natin, di ba, pag paranoid, um, masyado kang overthinker, kahit hindi pa nangyayari, iniisip mo na agad na yun yung nangyayari. Pero, yun nga, it is characterized by delusion, specifically or especially the beliefs that the other peoples are trying to harm them or yes, yung mga taong may ganito. Pag sinabi mo yun nga, tapos sabi schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia, um, um, you have this thinking na um, lahat ng tao or may mga tao na parang trying to harm you. Yun yung thinking ng may mga ganitong type ng schizophrenia. Next is the hebephrenic schizophrenia manifests severe integration of personality and can be observed through inappropriate giggling and smiling without apparent reason, which an unrestrained observer may only be childish playfulness. Pag malalaman mo yung person na mayroong hebephrenic schizophrenia kasi tawa lang sila ng tawa, excessive laughing na wala namang reason, parang baliw, gano'n, parang baliw, pero hindi. Ito yung type ng schizophrenia na meron sila, which is hebephrenic. Dali lang siya, di ba? Mamaya, isa-isahin ulit natin siya. Isa-summarize natin yung types ng schizophrenia. Next is the catatonic schizophrenia. Manifest extreme violence is shown with excessive motor activity, grimacing, talkativeness, and unpredictable emotional outbursts. Pag sinabi naman catatonic schizophrenia, nakaka-characterize siya or nakikita siya sa tao pag yung unusual yung body movements niya, yung excessive yung mobility niya, yung parang aligaga, ganun, aligaga siya. Tapos, ayun, talkative daw, tapos yung mga, ano, bigla-bigla yung emotions na, um, I mean, bigla-bigla, galit na galit, wala namang nangyari, pero galit na galit. Ayun daw yun, mga ganun bagay. Yun yung four types of schizophrenia. So, isa-isahin natin. First is be simple. Pag sinabing simple, yun yung mga nawawalan ng gana, interest, motivation sa buhay, ganun. Second is the paranoid. Madali lang mo siya intindihin, guys, di ba? Pag paranoid naman is, OA ka mag-isip na feeling mo all persons are trying to harm you. Ganun, parang lahat na lang ng tao na napag-isipan mo na ah, gagawan ka ng masama or lalagay ka sa kapahamakan, ganun, bibigyan ka ng harm. Then next is the heavy phrenic is yung ano, baliw. Ginamit natin baliw, may tawa na tawa, ganun. Wala namang reason. Next is that catatonic or yung mga aligaga, hindi mo alam. Parang sobrang OA sa mga ginagawa, kilos, ganun. And also, yung mga sobrang daldal. And next is, ay ano pa daw, yung pagiging ano, yung bigla-biglang galit kahit wala namang rason, yun daw yun. Baka mga isa sa mga klase natin yung gano'n. Pero hindi tayo puwedeng mag-diagnose. Joke lang. Next is the third mental and personality disorder is the post-traumatic stress disorder, or the PTSD, can develop after an individual has experienced exposure to actual or threatened death or serious injury or sexual violence. Symptoms of PTSD includes episodes of reliving or experiencing the event, avoiding the event, avoiding things that reminds the individual about the things, feeling on edge and having negative thought. So person having this kind of disorder is experience traumatic events in life kaya nade-develop yung ganitong disorder. Hindi mo ma Hindi mo mada-diagnose yung taong mayroong PTSD if di naman siya dumaan or na-experience sa gano'ng situation or event in life. So eto, 'pag may mga PTSD, parang ano, ina-avoid nila na mapunta sa gano'ng situation or maisip nila, ma-remind sila sa gano'ng trauma. Yun nga. Tapos people with PTSD repeatedly, nagkakaroon sila ng flashbacks dun sa traumatic event sa buhay nila. Next is the personality disorder, formerly known as character disorder, are class of personality types and behaviors defined as an enduring pattern inner experience and behavior that divides, deviates markedly from expectation of cultures of the individual who exhibits. So, pag sinabi natin personality disorder, it is, yun, yun yung, inner, yun yung, personality iba't ibang personality na meron yung um, tao sa isang katawan. Gets ba? Yun. Different personality or behavior na nasa sa isang tao lang, gano'n. Iba-ibang ugali, iba-ibang behavior na meron yung isang tao. So, meron din siyang types of personality disorder. First is the paranoid personality. This is characterized by suspiciousness, hypersensitivity, rigidity, envy, excessive self-importance, and argumentative, plus a tendency to blame others for one's own mistake and failure and ascribe evil motives to others. So, pag sinabi natin paranoid, individuals constantly distrust others. Parang wala siyang trust to anyone. Sarili niya lang, sarili niya lang yung pinapaniwalaan niya. Tapos, nakaka-characterize din tong individual na to na mayroong paranoid sa hindi niya ino-own yung mga bagay na pagkakamali niya. Tapos mostly bini-blame niya sa ibang tao yung mga nagawa niya mistake, gano'n. And dito, next naman is parang same lang siya kanina sa parang di ba? Parang feeling mo lahat ng tao may balak sa'yo masama, gano'n. Next types of personality is the schizoid personality, characterized by a lack of interest in social relationship, a tendency towards a solidarity lifestyle, and secretiveness and emotional coldness. Individual with this personality disorder neither deserve nor enjoy close relationship. They believe a solitary life with little interest in developing friendship. They exhibit emotional coldness, detachment, and conflict. Sinabi daw, schizoid, um, people having this kind of personality is ina-isolate nila yung sarili nila or wala silang social energy para communicate, makipag-socialize sa other person. And also, ina-avoid nila yung close relationship sa ibang tao. Yun nga, ina-isolate nila yung sarili nila. Gusto lang nila yung mga mayroong ganun type na personality is mag-isa lang sila, ganun. Ayaw nila nang nakikipag-interact sa other na tao. Next is the schizotype personality. Individual disorder exhibit odd behavior based on a belief in magic or superstition and may report unusual perception experience. Ang mga ganitong tao naman na mayroong personality is meron siyang unusual beliefs and odd behavior or mga meron silang na 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 beliefs na naniniwala sila sa magic, sa superstition, gano'n. Parang parang malala na siya kaysa sa other types of personality kasi nga nagkakaroon sila ng hallucination na yun meron silang meron silang magical or superstition na paniniwala which in reality hindi naman talaga nag-exist. Next is stereotonic personality. This characterized by a attempt to be the center of attention through the use of theatrical and self-dramatizing behavior. Sexual adjustment is poor and interpersonal relationships are story characterized by excessive emotionality and attention seeking, including an excessive need for approval and inappropriate seductiveness, usually beginning in early adulthood. Pag hysterion personality naman is characterized by excessive attention seeking or yung mga tao self-centered na gusto nila sila lagi bida, sila lagi yung napapansin. Ganon. Pag sinabi natin yung histrionic. Next is the narcissistic personality. Individual with this type of personality have a pervasive sense of self-importance, a disorder that its derivatives can be used by excessive praise and criticism in childhood, particularly that from parental figures. Pag sinabi natin um, narcissistic personality involves the exaggerated sense of self-importance o para din siyang stereotonic. Yun nga lang sa narcissistic, parang hindi niya na naiisip yung ibang tao. Sarili lang yung importante, sarili lang yung tama sa lahat ng bagay. Hindi siya makikinig sa kung ano man yung nasa environment na sinasabi about sa kanya. Kundi, sarili niya lang yung pinaniniwalaan niya na siya yung tama. Ganon. Tapos lahat ng ideas niya, isip niya tama at walang pwedeng mag-contradict doon na mali siya. Siya yung tama palagi. Next is the antisocial personality. This is characterized by a lifelong history of inability to conform to social norms. They're irritable and aggressive and may have repeated physical fights. This individual also have a high prevalence of morbid substance abuse. Pag sinabi naman natin antisocial, individual having this kind of disorder is really disregard niya yung law and other people's right. Masyado siyang violent and also wala siyang wala siyang guilt pag gumagawa siya ng pag gumagawa siya ng bagay na against social norms. Next is the borderline personality. This is characterized by instability reflected in drastic mood shifts and behavior problems. Individuals with this type of personality are acutely sensitive to real or imagined abandonment and have a pattern of repeated, unstable, bad, intense interpersonal relationships that alternatives between extreme idealization and devaluation. Such individuals may abuse substance or food or sexually promiscuous. Person having this kind of personality is marked by unstable emotional and relationship. So, hindi na kaya mag-sustain ng emotion tapos relation sa ibang tao. Um, um, ma- Mabilis mag-shift yung mode niya tapos yung behavior niya. So, yun nga, hindi siya consistent. Paiba-iba siya. Yun yung borderline. Pag avoidant personality, individual with personality are fearful of becoming involved with people because of excessive fears of criticism or rejection. Sabi na avoidance is characterized by fear of rejection. So, in-isolating sarili niya, kasi nga, yung reason is ayaw niya ma-reject ng ibang tao. Yun lang, simple lang siya. Yun yung avoidant personality. Nag-a-avoid siya ng situation or makipag-socialize sa ibang tao kasi takot siya na ma-reject. The nine type of personality is the dependent personality. This is characterized by inability to make even daily decisions without excessive advice and reassurance from others, and need others to assume responsibility for the most major areas of his life. Pag sinabi ng dependent, etong klase ng personality is individual really I heavily rely on others for his decision in life. Kahit yung mga may great decision niya, nire-rely niya sa ibang tao na parang wala siyang self-decision. Palagi siyang dependent sa magiging sasabihin ng iba, decision na gusto ng iba para sa life niya. Masyado siyang dependent nun. Next is the compulsive personality. This is characterized by excessive concern with rules, order or efficiency, and work coupled with insisting that everyone do things their way and inability to express warm feelings. Dito naman sa compulsive personality, it is the having this kind of disorder is masyado silang perfectionist tapos gusto nila lahat ng bagay is maayos, yung parang aligaga sila, not in the bad way na aligaga, kundi linis lang sila ng linis, ayos lang sila ng ayos, kunting tumba lang, I mean, meron lang kunting gulo sa sahig, wawalisan nila, gano'n. May good and bad side din nga siya kasi masyadong okay. Gano'n. Yun lang yun sa compulsive. Masyado silang perfectionist and gusto nila lahat ng bagay is in order. Pag passive-aggressive personality, the individual with personality disorder is usually found to have overindulged in many things during the early years to the extent that the person comes to anticipative that his needs will always meet and gratify. Para naman sa passive-aggressive personality, people having this kind of personality indirectly express negative feelings instead of communicating openly. So, um, indirect yung pag-express niya ng negative reaction niya dun sa specific situation. Parang hindi na kayang i-communicate openly yung mga thoughts niya, ideas niya sa ganitong situation. Parang masyado siyang sa sinasarili niya lahat, gano'n. Yun, parang hindi siya marunong makipag-communicate sa mga bagay-bagay na naiisip or nararamdaman niya sa specific situation. Next is the last topic or the last part of the topics na nandun sa DOS, which is the victimology. Victimology, according to Karen, victimology is the study of victimization, including the relationship between the victims and the offender, the interaction between victims and criminal justice. So, pag sinabi natin victimization, it refers to the study on how a victim becomes a victim. So, and yes, tapos what is the relationship of the victim and the offender and the ano daw, the victim and the criminal justice. Kung paano yung nagwo-work or paano nangyayari yun. It also defined as the scientific study of physical, emotional, and financial harm people suffer because of illegal activities. So, dito, inaaral din yung mga physical, emotional, and financial harm na naging result nung crime dun sa victim. Next is what is or who are the victim or who is I what is victim? Victim is the person to whom the harm was committed. He is also referred to as the complainant or the offended part. Also, victims can either be direct or primary victims or indirect or secondary victims. So, when we say victim, it is a person which is the um which which suffers the harm of the crime committed. Hindi lang siya na-classify as victim na kung sino talaga yung naging na na-receive yung crime na na-commit, but also meron din tayong secondary or indirect victim. Malalaman natin mamaya kung sino yung mga yun. Historically, the term victima was used to describe individuals or animals whose lives were destined to be sacrificed to please a deity. So, ito yung Latin term ng victim is victima. So, it is described na yung mga individual or animal daw na nagiging sacrifice sa mga Diyos nila or sa mga God or sa mga pinapaniwalaan nilang nagpo-protect sa kanila. So, eto yun yung types ng victim, yung direct or the primary victim and the indirect or the secondary victim. For the direct or primary victim is the person who was actually harmed because of the commission of the crime. Crime victims of rape, robbery or physical injury. Or in other terms, ito yung naka-receive talaga nung crime na na-commit. Sila talaga yung, sabi ko parang first hand nakakuha or naka-receive nung crime na nangyari. For the indirect or secondary victim refers to the family or of loved ones of the victim, such is the case on crimes of murder or homicide. For the indirect or secondary victims naman, ito yung mga family or loved ones ng naging biktima na naging may impact din sa kanila yung nangyari. So, nagiging victim din sila sa gano'n, sila sa gano'n, kahit hindi naman sila yung first hand na naka-receive nung crime or nung example, murder. Hindi naman sila yung pinatay. Pero nag-suffer din sila right after nung pagkamatay nung loved one nila. Next is um, what is victimization? Victimization can be defined as the outcome of an individual or institution intentional action to exploit, oppress, or harm someone else. It also includes destroying or illegally psychological, emotional, or physical, sexual, or economic harm to the victim. When we say victimization, it refers to the experience of becoming a victim. Um, ito yung circumstances or yung experience ng victim during the commission of the crime. Kung paano siya naging victim, ganon. Next is the theories of victimology. First theory is the victim precipitation theory. According to the victim precipitation theory, some people may initiate the confrontation that eventually leads to their injury or death. The victim precipitation theory states that some victims initiate the confrontation that leads to their victimization, whether actively or passively. So, dito sa theory na to, naniniwala sila na kaya naging victim dahil din sa kanila kasi sila yung initiate ng um, sila nag-initiate kung paano sila naging victim. Gets ba? Ganun. Parang may contributions sila kung bakit sila naging victim. It has two kinds, the passive and the active precipitation. First is the passive means that the victim unconsciously behaves in a way or has specific characteristics that instigate and encourage an individual. So when we say passive, wala siyang ginagawa, wala siyang pang-invoke or wala siyang gano'n pag-iisip. Pero unconsciously, nag-i-invoke pala siya or nag-initiate pala siya ng um, situation na magiging victim siya. Unconsciously yun hindi niya alam na nag-initiate or na um, provoke pala siya maging sa ibang tao na um, mag-commit ng crime against sa kanya. Pag sinabi naman active, occurs when the victim engage in threatening or provocation action. So, di ba, dun sa passive, hindi niya pinaprovoke. Unconsciously lang na na-provoke niya pala. When sa active, meron talagang action na pinaprovoke niya talaga na yung ibang tao na para ang ending result, magiging victim siya. Yun. Then, second, gets ba, pag precipitation, mayroong contribution or nag-initiate yung victim para maging victim siya. Tapos two type, active and passive. Active, may action kang ginawa, in-invoke mo siya, pinuvoke mo siya, or nag-initiate ka talaga ng situation para malagay ka sa situation ng biktima ka. Yung sa passive naman is unconscious ka na nagpo-provoke ka pala sa ibang tao na magiging victim ka, result is magiging victim ka. Second is the lifestyle tree. Some criminologists believe people have become crime victims because of their lifestyle, increases their exposure to criminal offenders. The lifestyle theory maintains that criminal targets individual due to their lifestyle. So, pag sinabi daw, lifestyle theory is yung lifestyle mo, yun yung nagiging reason why you become a victim. For example, yung mga customer agent, yun sila ng gabi, diba? Yung mga students na kahit 6 a.m. ay 6 p.m. naman yung out, pero umuwi na anong oras. Nagiging victim sila kasi nagiging lifestyle, routine nila yun. Ang lag sila na napapansin ng potential criminal na gusto oras siya umuwi. So, na 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 encourage siya na ano ka kasi na yung lifestyle mo is ganito. Parang yung routine mo ganito na nababasa niya na kung paano ka gumalaw, ganun. I mean, example nga, ano oras ka na umuwi. Alam niya na anong oras ka umuwi. Kaya kanyang abangan sa labas, ganun. Next is the deviant-based theory. In the theory that the more often a victim visits a dangerous place, the more likely they will be exposed to crime, which raises their chance of being victimized. The theory states the victim does not play a role of encouraging the crime, but is still prone to be a crime. So this divine place theory states that visiting a place or living in a place where high crime rates are high crime rates is nagiging risk siya kung bakit ka nagiging victim. Hindi 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 sinasabi na pinoprovoke mo siya, but prone ka sa prone ka maging victim because sa pagpunta mo or kung nakatira ka man dun, ganun. Next is the routine activity theory. The routine activity theory states that there must be three factors present for a crime to occur. These factors reflect the regular activities incorporated in a typical lifestyle, and they increase individual risk of victimization when they converge. So, ang pinagkaiba pala ni lifestyle and lifestyle wait, ni lifestyle is yung lifestyle mo, for example, yun nga, ganito yung hobby mo, ganito na yung nagiging lifestyle mo sa buhay. Kung sinabi ng mong routine is yun yung lagi-lagi mong ginagawa. And also, may tatlong factor to na bakit ka nagiging crime. Parang requisite, gano'n. First is, walang nagbabantay sa'yo. Second is, dahil bata ka, gano'n, mabilis kang maging victim. Then third is yung, ano ba yun? Basta yun, parang, dahil sa routine mo, yun nga, may three factors sa kung bakit walang nagbabantay sa'yo. Then, bata ka, prone ka talaga sa maging victim. Tas sa third one naman, nakalimutan ko siya, but yun, meron siyang tatlong factor kung paano kang magiging victim under ng routine activity three. Diba sa lifestyle lang naman, parang kung ano yung lifestyle mo araw-araw, ganun. Sa routine, parang kung ano yung mga activities na ginagawa mo araw-araw. Let's proceed to traditional concept of victimization. Victim-offender relationship. This refers to the relationship of the victim with the offender and vice versa. It could be that the victim personally knows the offender may be actually related to him or her by blood, or they may be co-workers, neighbors, classmates, or even in the relationship with each other. This relationship could be a factor as to why he or she victimized by the offender. Pag sinabi nating victim-offender relationship, the victim and the offender have the relationship, or meron silang ayun nga, relationship with either through blood, by work, or meron talaga silang romantic connection or relationship. The next is the victim facilitation. This happens in situation wherein victim unknowingly, carelessly, negligently, and negligence on the part of the victim. The offender is given the opportunity to actually commit the crime, such as in cases of theft or robbery. It is called facilitation because, in effect, it was the victim who facilitated the commission of the crime, meaning it was the victim who made it possible for the offender to commit crime. When we say ano naman daw, victim facilitation, si victim yung bigay ng opportunity sa mga potential or opportunistic criminals para mag-commit ng crime. So may contribution sila, si victim, kung paano sila na naging victim kasi nagbibigay sila ng opportunity sa potential criminal para maging biktima sila ng isang crime. Next is the victim precipitation and culpability or provocation. In the victim significantly contributed to the victimization, while in culpability or provocation, the victim is considered even more responsible for the crime than the offender himself. Pag sinabi natin victim precipitation, di ba kanina victim precipitation, di ba? Nag-initiate sila initiate sila sa ibang tao para malagay sila sa situation na magiging victim siya. While sa culpability or provocation naman is nagpro-provoke talaga sila sa situation para maging victim sila, which na-reduce siya as mas more guilty sila mas more guilty sila as isang offender, victim, dahil sa pagpupubok sa offender. Next is the victim resistance. Is defined as action by potential victim during a confrontation that is designed to interfere in any way with the completion of the criminal act or scheme. Resistance may conduct like physical retaliation or calling for help, but it also includes a refusal to meet the demand of the offender. Sabi namang victim resistance, yung victim is nagiging potential siya during the confrontation, which um Hmm, nagiging victim siya because sa pag-resist niya. For example, um, um, gusto niyang makigantay, gano'n. Dahil sa dahil sa gano'n, and resistance may conduct like physical retaliation or calling for help, but it also include a refusal to meet the demand of the offender. So, nagiging victim daw, yung victim sa victim resistance. Kasi nag-resist siya sa mga offer, sa mga demand ng offender sa kanya. For example, dito yung mga sa kidnap, may kailangan yung offender sa'yo, tapos nag-resist ka na ibigay yun, yung ganun situation. The last one is the victim vulnerability refers to the tendency of a person to become victimized without any fault on his part. Such a person can easily become victim because of his personal circumstances such as age and state of mental health. So for this naman, pag sinabi natin victim, vulnerable yung victim, kaya siya nagiging victim. Like through due to reason of their age, ano ba, mental health, kasi na naging ano, kasi hindi nila kayang defend yung sarili nila against sa mga harmful things na gustong gawin ng other person or other people na gusto nilang gawin sa kanila. Then next, ay meron pa pala, the last one is the victim blame. It's very common to hear people blame the victims for the crime committed against him. Sometimes even the victim himself blame himself in some ways. This is good because it, it shows how people are aware that crimes can be prevented if we protect ourselves from criminals. However, this can also be negatively because when we start blaming the victim, it is like we are removing the blame from the offender. This can make the offender feel like it is your fault that they become victim. So victim blame is um um pinapasa natin yung blame sa nangyari sa victim dahil lang sa kanya, gano'n. Parang, um, kaya siya naging victim dahil kasalanan niya yun, gano'n. Which, yes, may contribution, but victims always the victim will always be a victim. So, no need na para i-blame kasi natapos na siya yung naging victim doon sa crime na nangyari. Tapos sinasabi naman dito, some victims are aware na sila yung dahilan kung bakit nagiging victim siya. Pero sinabi din sa statement is masama yun or pangit yun kasi nga mafe-feel nung victim na kasalanan nila lahat yun and hindi na nila nabulyo na kasalanan ng offender kung bakit nangyari or bakit niya ginawa yun. Which is parang nagpi-favor sa offender yung mga nangyayari. Um, Proceed naman tayo sa provision ng provisions which is the RA 9262 or the Anti-Violence Against Women and Children's Act and RA number 6981 or the Witness Protection Program. Kasama siya sa TOS kaya sinama ko po siya. Provide layered strategies to secure victims and witnesses. RA set 1962 specifically focuses on stopping immediate domestic abuse through protection orders, while RA 6981 offers holistic long-term security, including relocation, livelihood support, and immunity and for those testifying against perpetrators. So both of this provision is for the protection. For the RA 962, it's for the domestic abuse, for the victims of domestic abuse is yung mother, yung child, while in 6982, mas broad siya, nagigive siya ng protection sa mga um, nagiging witness and also long-term siya and malawak. Madami siyang pwedeng madaming benefits. Next slide is RA 9262 Anti-Violence Against Women and Children's Act. This law penalizes physical, sexual, psychological, and economic abuse against women and children, offering immediate localized strategies for victims protection. So, dito, pag sabi natin RA 9262 it is a law that protects woman and its children from abuse, different abuse, either physical, emotional, economic, or psychological abuse. Um, and RA 9262 Section 8, protection orders issued under this act for the purpose of preventing further acts of violence against the women or her child specified in Section 5 and Section 5 of this act. Dito, mayroong three types ng protection order. The BPO, barangay protection order, the TPO, the temporary protection order, and the PPO, the permanent protection order. So, alamin natin kung sino yung mga nagbibigay ng mga ganitong kinds of protection. For the Barangay Protection Order or the BPO refers to the protection issued by the punong barangay, ordering the perpetrators to desist from committing acts. So, yung nag-give ng protection order na to is the barangay tanong. Nasa barangay level siya. And it will be effective for 15 days. And 15 days lang after na ma-approve ni punong barangay na merong protection order for the woman and for the mother and for her child. Next is the temporary protection order. It is issued by the court application after ex parte determination that such order should be issued. So si temporary protection order, court yung nag-issue sa kanya. Unlike iba kay barangay, is barangay level, school ng barangay. Dito is court or yung judge. And valid siya for 30 days. Kanino sa barangay is valid for only 15 days. Next is the permanent protection order. Refers to the protection order issued by the court. Issued by the court. Respondent non-appearance despite proper notice or his lack of lawyer or non-availability of his lawyer shall not be a ground for rescheduling or postponing the hearing on the merits of the issuance ng PPO. So, si PPO, same kay PPO, na si court yung nagbibigay ng protection order na 'to. And meron nakalagay dito na non-appearance ni respondent is hindi siya magiging reason para ma-reschedule yung hearing. Tuloy-tuloy pa rin kahit wala yung respondent dun sa hearing na mangyayari. Next is the violation of protection. The violation of the protection order. A violation of the BPO issued under this act will be filed directly with the municipal MPC, MPC, MPCC, MPCTC that has territorial jurisdiction over the barangay issued by the barangay. So, any violation daw po sa barangay order na 'to is puwedeng mag-take ng action yung mother and the child para mag-file na ng case or mag-file directly ng case sa MPC, MPCC, MPCTC, MPC, MCTC na merong under jurisdiction niya yung barangay na yon. Bawal siya mag-file ng case na violation against the BPO sa hindi sa court na hindi naman sakop yung jurisdiction ng barangay na yun. Hindi sakop yung barangay na yun, yung jurisdiction ng court na yun. So, the next is the RA 1962, Witness Protection Security and Benefits Program, administered by the DOJ. This program encourages individuals with knowledge of crime to safely testify by shielding them from intimidation, threats, or harm. So, nag-administer na is the DOJ or the Department of Justice, and this kind of program is ini-encourage yung mga individual na merong knowledge sa crime na mag-testify without having the doubt of the threat to the security of their life. Ito yung mga benefit na makukuha nila sa program if they testify against the crime. Security and escort services provide physical security, secure housing facilities, and escort to and from hearing or investigative bodies. So, bibigyan sila ng security or an escort during the hearing, and also dun sa bahay nila bibigyan siya ng security para ma-secure na safe siya para hindi siya mag-overtake, ganon. Financial and livelihood support offers subsistence allowance and assistance in finding alternative means of livelihood if the witness is displaced due to the participation in the program. So, for this naman, bibigyan siya ng financial and livelihood support because, syempre, during the hearing, hindi siya makakapag-function well sa work niya because kailangan niya mag-appear sa mga hearing or kaya magtatago siya kasi may threat sa life niya. So, wala siyang source of income. For example, may family pa siya. Ano yung papakain niya? So, yun yung purpose ng benefit na yun para magkaroon siya. Ma-sustain niya pa din yung needs ng sarili niya or kung may family siya, ng family niya. Next is the medical and rural benefits. Covers free medical treatment, hospitalization, and medical medicine for injuries sustained because of witness duty. If the witness is killed, the heirs receive a minimum rural benefits of 10,000. So dito, for example, naging part siya ng commission. Example, isa din siya sa mga naging criminal and magte-testify siya against sa mga kasama niya. Tapos, sugatan siya. May free medical assistance siya or di kaya during the hearing, during the hearing, tapos, malala na yung naging injury niya dun sa nangyari dahil sa ginamit nilang drugs. Eventually, namatay siya or di kaya pinatay siya. Magkakaroon ng mare-receive nung mga family member na naiwan niya yung rural assistance na 10,000 daw. Next is the educational assistant provides free education from primary college level for the minor or dependent children of a witness who is killed or permanently incapacitated due to the program. So, for the educational assistance, magbibigay daw yung program ng free, free, free education from primary to college sa minor and dependent children, yung mga minor na or mga dependent child na mga dependent, mga child na nakadependent dun sa witness. For example, father siya, tapos naging witness siya, tapos namatay yung witness na yun, or di kaya may nangyari na naging incapacitated siya dahil sa pagiging witness niya, bibigyan yung anak na nakadepende sa kanya ng free education. Next is the immunity and employment protection. State witness may be granted immunity from criminal prosecution. Witnesses are also protected from being removed or demoted at work due to the program-related absences and entitled to their full salary. So, dito naman, immunity. Kung namin yung immunity, pag naging state witness ka daw, magiging immune ka sa criminal procedure or hindi ka mo-prosecute. I mean, criminal prosecution, hindi ka ma-prosecute, hindi ka makulong. And for the employment protection naman, due to being a witness, tapos hindi ka na makapasok regular sa regular work mo, um, hindi siya magiging reason para tanggalin ka. Yun yung isa sa benefit ng phone, hindi ka tatanggalin. And also, full salary pa rin ma-receive mo kahit sobrang dami mong absences. Basta, reason is yung pagiging witness mo. And yun lang po. Thank you for listening. Again, I am Rosemary Galit. And that would be all. Thank you.